Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we're bringing you our annual top 20 most played games, looking at it from the point of view of hours played. I also do an individual plays list, which will be coming out at the beginning of the year. This one we do at the end of the year, and it goes through November 1st. So the stats that I've taken here stop at November 1st. I've played 182 games since I started keeping track in mid 2014. I've played, those 182 games have been played 1,445 times, and I've spent approximately 1,136 hours playing those games. My H-index is 19, which, to give you an idea of what H-index is, if you don't know, that basically means that I've played 19 games at least 19 times. And then the cool thing with H-index is that the higher the number gets, the more difficult it is to continue expanding it, because every game, if you're 19, you got 19 games, you played 19 times exactly, then to get to 20, you got to play all those one more time, plus get another game up to 20 as well. So let's see, we've got new to this list, to this top 20, there's going to be 4 new games on here. And out of these 20 games, 7 of them didn't get played at all last year, but their total time being played still keeps them ranked in the top 20. So without too much else, we're going to get to this list. I do want to mention our sponsor, Board Game Co. This is a fantastic website where you can go and buy, sell, and trade games. They have a great selection of games over there, great prices. They have a value system for the purpose of you selling to them as well as trading with them. You can, say, hey, I want to trade this game and this game, and you can see, well, that's going to give me this value, so then how many games can I get for that? Maybe trade 2 of mine away to get one that I really want, or trade 2 of mine away to get, 4 different ones, or however you want to do it. They've got a good setup over there for you to figure all that out. They'll even link into your Board Game Geek account and see what you've got on their wish list that might work with what they've got to offer. So that's Board Game Co. Be sure to click on the link in the description below if you want to check them out. That way they'll know I sent you. Board Game Co. is a great place to buy, sell, and trade your way into a better collection. Also, all this right here, this is Kingdom Death Monster setup. I'm getting ready to film a showdown with Slender Man. I actually have never fought him, so the showdown will be me discovering all the secrets that Slender Man's got to offer right there as I'm filming, so it should be pretty interesting. And I'm going to be using these miniatures that are painted. They were painted by this artist by the name of Lorenzo. There's a link in the description below if you want to go see more of his stuff. He's on Twitter. There's all kinds of ways to check out what he can do. He does commissions. So he painted these 4 survivors, and it's just a fantastic job. My paint job is adequate at best. And there's also the Sunstalker. He painted for me as well. So eventually I'm going to get the Sunstalker out, do a showdown with him too. Just a fantastic paint job here. And this isn't even he has different tiers that he does as far as the level of detail, the level of quality, and this is not even his highest tier. So be sure to tune into the Slender Man gameplay so you'll be able to see those up close and see exactly what he's got to offer. All right, without anything else, let's get into the list. Now, of course, all our lists are done 1 minute per game, so we're going to do 20 minutes today, starting right now. Okay, so number 20 is Friday. Now, this was the first solo-only game that I ever played. I own one other solo-only game now, Hostage Negotiator, but Friday is definitely the original one, and I've played it 13 hours, 41 minutes. It was number 16 last year. Actually, have not played it at all in the past year since I made the last list. But it's a deck builder game where you are Robinson Crusoe. You've crash landed on the island like you do, and Friday is trying to help you out because, to be honest, you are Friday. You're helping Robinson Crusoe out. Whatever. Point is, Robinson Crusoe is an absolute idiot when you first get the game started. The cards he's got available to him are terrible. And as you complete challenges, maybe you're fighting off wild animals, maybe you're fighting, I think there's cannibals in there, or maybe you're going out to the wreck trying to get some supplies. It's all very abstracted out, but as you complete each of those challenges, that card then becomes a card in your deck and gives you more abilities. And then you go through 3 stages, each one getting harder and harder, and then finally face Pirates at the end. That's Friday. Number 19 is Risk Legacy. I have not played this game in quite some time. It's been a very long time. My group lost interest, and we had gotten deep enough into it where I didn't really want to, try to bring a new group in and get them up to date with everything that had happened. 15 hours and 16 minutes with Risk Legacy. Now, this is basically the original Legacy game. It started everything as far as Legacy games go. And what you're doing is you're playing Risk, but they've got it distilled down, so it takes about an hour, usually, maybe a little bit more than an hour. And you are putting stickers on the board as the game state changes to permanently change that particular section for the rest of the campaign. You are unlocking new factions. You are unlocking new cards, abilities. All this. The factions themselves get stickers put on their faction boards so that they change their abilities as you go along. And there's certain spots where you have to choose between 2 abilities. One of them goes on the the sticker goes on the board. The other one you rip up and you never ever get to use with that copy of the game. So that is Risk Legacy. Number 18 is Pax Emancipation, brand new to the list. 15 hours, 16 minutes as well. This one is, I've only played it solo. I absolutely love it. It made it onto my top 9 solo games of the year. Pax Emancipation, you're going throughout the world and you are trying to outlaw slavery. This happened, real historical events is what it's based on, when the British Parliament started pushing out, along with philanthropists and evangelicals, trying to outlaw slavery. It is an extremely complex game. Phil Eklund's rulebooks are notorious for not being easy to read, and in fact, the best way to do it is not read the rulebook that comes in the game, but get the living rules that are not constantly, but are often tweaked and adjusted for more clarity. And you download that. That's how I learned it, is with the living rules. Pax Emancipation is an incredibly complex game with a very steep learning curve, but if you get past that learning curve, it is such an incredible experience. Pax Emancipation. Number 17 is Mechs versus Minions. Now, this is from Riot Games. I've played it 17 hours, 47 minutes. This was number 13 last year, and I have not played it in the past year, which really makes me sad because I really like this game a lot. This is a cooperative game. It takes place in the world of League of Legends. You are Yordles fighting off just legions of minions. The game literally comes with 100 minion minis, as well as a boss as well that you have to fight sometimes. And it is a programming game. You start off with a very limited, 2 or 3 card program. I can't remember exactly how many cards you start with. And then as you play, the program gets more and more complicated, which means that your mech is going all over the place and hopefully is doing what you want, but sometimes you might just, because of the way the program works out, you might do something unintended, or you might not be able to do what you want to do, and you end up running over, your own people, bumping out of the way, but maybe you end up destroying more minions than you thought you were going to. That's Mechs versus Minions, number 17. Number 16 is Splendor, 17 hours, 53 minutes, number 12 last year. Splendor is a engine building game. My wife absolutely loves this game. I think it might still be her favorite game of all time. You are basically, you'll buy these cards at the beginning of the game that give you gems. There's also gem tokens, 5 different colors, I believe. And so you buy these cards that are going to give you gems that are always with you, and they then let you buy more powerful cards, which then let you buy even more powerful cards. But in the end, what you're trying to do is gain 15 prestige. Some of the cards are worth prestige, but also if you get a collection of certain cards, then you'll attract what are called nobles to come to your player area, and they are worth prestige as well. When you get to 15 prestige, you win the game. That is Splendor. Number 15 is 7th Continent. 18 hours, 24 minutes. Number 15 last year. 7th Continent is a pure exploration game. The world of 7th Continent always is laid out the exact same way. It's a modular board, but it doesn't change. It's not random. It is already set. And that knowledge that you gain when you're playing it can help you in other scenarios as well. And that's what is intended with the game. Your deck of cards are both your actions and your life. And when the deck runs out, then you shuffle up the discard pile, put it, and you start drawing from the discard pile, basically. And if you draw a curse, then game over when you're drawing from the discard pile. But you can hunt, get food. That way you can take cards out of the discard pile, put them back in the regular deck. And you're just going all throughout this world trying to figure out exactly how to undo this curse that is on you. That's 7th continent. Number 14 is Scythe. Excuse me. Scythe with 20 hours, 16 minutes, new to the list. What really has kicked Scythe off for me is the Rise of Fenris expansion. I don't like Scythe solo very much. It's probably I think it's the only Ultima I don't like from Stonemaier Games, but people love it so much I feel like I need to give it another chance. However, multiplayer, Scythe is amazing, and Rise of Fenris really makes it a must-have game in my opinion. It adds a campaign that has kind of some legacy stuff. Legacy in the sense that I guess it's not really legacy. You're just unlocking boxes because you're not destroying anything. You're not making permanent changes to the board or anything like that. So Scythe is a fantastically fun game where you have mechs and workers and you're going throughout this post-World War I steampunk type world in Eastern Europe, and sometimes you fight against each other, but most of the time in my games we just kind of coexist, and every now and then we'll pick at each other, but for the most part we're just trying to get our location up and running and get those points that we want by the end of the game. Number 13 is Root. 20 hours, 17 minutes, just barely beating out Scythe. Root is also brand new to the list. This one I've played some with other people, but solo is amazing using the Better Bot project, which has been taken by Leader Games and refined and is being released as an actual expansion. I believe it's its own separate thing. It's not bundled with any other expansion, so you could get just the solo experience if you want. And it is essentially a coin game, meaning counterinsurgency. You have 4 different factions that come with a base game. One is in control of the entire board when the game sets up, and then another one used to be in control, and they have only one section now, so they want to take it back. Another one is an insurgency that's rising up to fight both those guys because they're jerks, and the other one is just a lone guy, kind of like Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, just roaming around, causing havoc, fighting all the powers that be. That's Root. Number 12 is Star Realms, 23 hours, 51 minutes. Number 11 last year, so only dropped to 1 spot. Star Realms is a two-player. You can play it with more than 2, but really it's a 2-player game. Deck builder, just like every deck builder, you start with a crap hand of cards, and then you're buying from a central location. In this one, that's literally all it is. It is just a deck builder, and then you're fighting against your opponent. You're taking shots at them, and as the game goes along, you're going to be dealing more and more and more damage. You can heal yourself with, there's 4 different factions. One of the factions helps you heal. One of them helps you discard bad cards out of your hand. One of them is all about making the other opponent discard, and the other one is all about dealing massive amounts of damage. It is a lot of fun. That is Star Realms. Number 11 is Ziya, 25 hours, 47 minutes. This is number 10 last year. Now, Ziya, unfortunately, I ended up selling, and it was because I couldn't get it to the game. I couldn't get it to the table. This is a massive sandbox game. Beautiful, beautiful game. I always had fun when I played it. Didn't enjoy the solo experience as much as some of my other solo games, so I wasn't going to get to the table solo, and I don't have anybody in my immediate gaming groups or gaming area that really enjoyed playing it, unfortunately. So it is a sandbox where you could be a pirate, you could be a bounty hunter, you could be a merchant, you could be an explorer, all these different things you could do, and you're just like Han Solo, you're the one ship flying around. Maybe you hire, a mercenary one time or something, which is an expansion ship you can get. If you do get Ziya, I strongly recommend you get the expansion Embers of a Forsaken Sun or Star. Embers of a Forsaken, either Sun or Star. It is one of the few expansions that I believe is truly essential. In fact, there's only 2 expansions. This is one of them that I think is essential. Let's see, the other one, or the next game is number 10, Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. This is 26 hours, 26 minutes. Number 9 last year. I have not played it in a year, which I cannot believe. This game is so cool. I actually bought a couple of expansions for it, and I still haven't, like a couple of the downloadable expansions, and I haven't played it yet because this game uses an app. You start off in a single room, usually inside of a mansion. And the app, as you explore, tells you what the next room is going to be, and you go into that room. And this is a Cthulhu type game, so you're going to have all kinds of weird monsters, but you don't want to be fighting if you can help it. If you're constantly seeking out the monsters to fight, you're going to lose in this game because they are more powerful. They will wear you down. This is about exploring, solving the mystery, getting through the story, trying to figure out how you end. Maybe it's a cultist ritual that's happening. Maybe you're just trying to escape because a mob is hunting you down. That's Manchester Madness 2nd edition. Number 9 is Medora with 28 hours, 21 minutes, brand new to the list. This is the highest new game on the list. Medora is a massive campaign with a storybook that thick. I've never seen a game where you have 8, 9, 10 pages of story in between the scenarios. Absolutely mind-blowing. The amount of gear in this game is mind-blowing. It's a cooperative game. I believe I've only played it solo. You are going through this story and just it's like you're a fantasy book, and then they made a board game for you to play through the fantasy book. That's really what it feels like. It is so cool. One of the best parts about it is the characters are completely customizable. They have suggested builds like that they kind of start you with, but really you can do whatever sort of build you want with the characters, because after the intro scenario, they give you the opportunity to completely break down the characters and start from scratch. That's Medora. Number 8 is Pandemic. This is 31 hours and 8 minutes. Number 8 last year, so holding steady. This one is a classic. This is one of the original games that my wife really enjoyed playing. It's a cooperative game, of course. Up to 4 players fighting against these 4 diseases rampaging through the world. You are basically kind of the CDC essentially, and you have a certain amount of time that's judged by a deck of cards, and if that deck of cards runs out, then you lose the game. If the diseases, if too much of the one disease gets on the board, you lose the game. If the diseases have an outbreak too many times, you lose the game. Lots of ways to lose. The only way to win is to cure or find a cure for all 4 diseases. And if you get lucky along the way, you might even manage to completely eradicate 1 or 2 of them too. That is Pandemic. Number 7 is Star Wars Imperial Assault. 33 hours, 42 minutes. This is the one I am most shocked that I have not played in the past year. I cannot believe that. When I saw my stats and realized I hadn't played it in over a year, it blows my mind. This game is so good. With the app, I do not like it very much with the 1 versus many, which is the original way the game is played. But however, there's an app that you can download, makes it cooperative and also solo, It basically, when you have the app, it has that exploration thing that I was talking about with Mansions of Madness, where you start in one little spot, and then as you explore, the map expands out, and the app controls the bad guys. So everybody's the good guys, and you're going through, and you're trying to make it through this campaign, and you're leveling up your characters, and you're not playing any of the classic heroes from Star Wars, but they do show up occasionally, and maybe they help you out or something, or the classic villains. And when this is a game where when Darth Vader shows up, it's like, oh crap, okay, we are in some trouble. We got to figure out what we're gonna do here. That is Star Wars Imperial Assault. Number 6, Pandemic Legacy, 41 hours, 13 minutes. That's 2 full playthroughs of Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I have not played in the past year. I'll probably never play Season 1 again because, like I said, I've played through twice. I doubt I'll get it. If I'm going to play Pandemic Legacy again, I'll get Season 2. This one is just like Pandemic, except it has that legacy aspect to it. So now when an outbreak happens in a city, well, that city has become a bit more unstable, and you put a sticker on the board to indicate that. If it happens again, okay, now it's rioting. If it happens again, well, eventually you get to the point where the city is just no man's land. You don't go into it, and if you do, it's going to cost you to go in there. And as you're playing, you have characters that are going to be leveling, getting abilities, and then they might even die. They can get scars, and if they get 3 scars, I think they end up dying. And you have to rip up the character to never use again. Pandemic Legacy. Number 5 is Dead of Winter with 48 hours, 27 minutes. It was number 5 last year, and so holding steady. And Dead of Winter is one where it is a zombie game, but zombies are the backdrop. I mean, yeah, they're there. They will bite you. They will kill you. But really, it's about, do we have a traitor in our midst? Do we, or do we just have people who are trying to complete their personal secret objectives And it maybe is not ideal the way they're behaving for the group, but it's just them trying to fulfill whatever that secret objective is. Because we have a main objective that everybody has to fulfill, and then everybody's got their own secret objectives. Maybe somebody has a betrayal objective, maybe they don't. But as you go through the town and you search the police station or the grocery store or the gas station, and people bring stuff back, and whatever the crisis is for that particular round, maybe one person's like, hey, listen, I don't have any gasoline, but they've just been searching the gas station for like 3 turns in a row. So how do they not have any gasoline to add to this crisis? That's Dead of Winter. Number 4 is Thunderstone Advance. This is 51 hours, 51 minutes. Number 3 last year. This is a deck builder that is more expansive than, say, Star Realms or Friday. And you've got a village with all kinds of stuff there for you to buy, and you also have a dungeon. And do you go to the dungeon or do you go to the village? And then when you pick one, if you go to the dungeon, you can't then also buy stuff from the village. And so do you have enough stuff to go in there? And you're fighting monsters. The deeper you go into the dungeon, the darker it gets, and the more lights you need to bring with you. And at the end of the game, you're all on the same team, but at the end of the game, whoever has done the most in terms of defeating monsters is going to be declared the winner. And maybe you play that way, maybe you just ignore those points and you just say, hey, we need to beat the bad guy at the end. But we always play with the points. Thunderstone Advance is a ton of fun now. Thunderstone Quest is out, and I have not played that yet. Really want to give it a shot. So we'll see. That's the 3rd edition, basically, of Thunderstone. Number 3 is Gloom Haven, 56 hours, 56 minutes. Number 4 last year. Gloom Haven is an incredibly tactical dungeon crawler, basically, but there's no dice. There is a small deck of called the attack modifier deck, so a little bit of randomness there, but you get to adjust that as you level up. You get to change stuff in there. You're playing cards from here. You have your entire set of cards in your hand with your attacks and everything, and you play 2 down, and that's going to determine your initiative versus the monsters who have their own initiative. And then when one of those attacks happens, you're going to flip over your attack modifier, and maybe you add an element to it, maybe you don't hit anything, maybe you do twice as much damage. And as your guys level up, they actually eventually are forced to retire, which can be a little sad. I had one guy that I spent most of that 56 hours with, and I was forced to retire him. It was a little bit sad, to be perfectly honest. Number 2 is Mage Knight, 58 hours, 34 minutes playing Mage Knight. It was number 1 last year. It is number 2 now. Mage Knight is probably like the granddaddy of all soloable and epic games. It is, well, I don't know if it's the granddaddy of epic games. Probably is the granddaddy of soloable games. It is a game, again, all card combat. The only luck is when you're drawing from your deck, all right, what you're going to have in your hand. You're exploring this land, modular board. If you're playing the base scenario, you're trying to conquer these 2 cities. You're this massively powerful Mage Knight, and you're leveling up as you gain fame. And you also have a reputation track that affects how easily you can purchase stuff or how easily you can get the locals to assist you. But maybe you're not going to want their help. Maybe you're going to burn down the monastery and steal whatever artifact they've been keeping in there. That is Mage Knight. Number 1, Kingdom Death Monster, 74 hours, 11 minutes of play. This was number 2 last year. This game right here is just so fantastic. It's mind-boggling that it even works. There's so much stuff in here. This game is one that on the surface appears incredibly luck-heavy, but the more you play it, the more you realize, in fact, there is so much strategy. The luck is only if you're just blindly, purchasing equipment. You're not really paying attention to the synergies. You're not really paying attention to the way certain characters should work. You're not paying attention to the fact that some of the defensive equipment, maybe you're going to have one character that isn't going to fight much at all during the showdowns, and instead that character is going to be looking at the hit location decks, trying to make sure we avoid traps, looking at the AI deck, trying to rearrange it so that it's more advantageous. And that is my 20 minutes. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I am in the middle of trying to save up for a new camera, and that is what all the Patreon money is going to go to. Be sure to tune back in for the Slender Man match. Honestly, I'm a little bit scared. I'm bringing my A game. I'm bringing my A team to fight Slender Man, which I'm a little worried about because going into a blind without really knowing how he's going to act, I could lose my entire A team here, which would be very unfortunate. I had a fantastic time making this video. I cannot believe I've done 74 hours of Kingdom Death Monster. Please come back and check out my individual plays list, see how that varies. I'm willing to bet Kingdom Death is going to be pretty high on there. I haven't looked yet, but January is when that video will be coming out. This video should have come out in November. We were a little bit late this year. Find me on Twitter, @boredoffline, and until next time, if you're bored online, board offline.